The presenting sponsor of Upmarket is Aereo, the best place to grow and manage your real estate media business online at aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Coming to you from the makeshift Upmarket studio in the beautiful Ojai Valley of Southern California, this is Upmarket, a podcast about the business of real estate photography and media. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media. And my buddy Mark Corcoran, he's out shooting houses. My buddy Chelsea Froelich, producer, she's out doing branding work or admin work. I don't know what she's doing, but she's not here with me today physically producing this podcast. But that's okay, because I'm excited because PMRE, I know it's a few months away, but it's coming up November 13th through 15th at the Palms Casino and Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada. And listen to this. We got breaking news. We're going to break some news on this podcast right now. We have the date that early bird tickets are going to go on sale. That's right. It is going to be May 30th at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and then 5 o'clock Central. Set your watch, set an alarm, do it right now, because you want to get in and get that early bird discount, a limited number of tickets on sale at early bird prices. So you want to make sure that you are in there. These things sell out pretty quickly. I mean, we're talking like 20, 30, 40 minutes. All those things will be gone. And so we're going to have a special episode right before that I think the 30th is on a Thursday. And then we're going to have an episode on the 28th on the Tuesday. Brandon Cooper is going to be here. He's going to kind of go over the full roster of who's going to be speaking at PMRE. And it is going to be fantastic to hear all those names and get you pumped up for that early bird tickets. And, we're talking about early bird. Well, we got another early bird thing, because we, as you know, are partnering with iGUIDE to bring you these Road to PMRE episodes this year. And iGUIDE has their tour to PMRE giveaways that they're doing. And they have an early bird giveaway of a Planix Pro camera system and iGUIDE Instant for free for 3 months. This is a fantastic prize. There's even bigger prizes I'm going to get to in a sec. But this is the early bird giveaway, and that is going to be drawn on June 3rd. So you got to get your entry in before that. And how do you enter? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you thought that, because I'm going to tell you. You're going to go to goiguide.com/PMRE, and you're going to enter your email address there, and it's going to get you on the mailing list for iGUIDE and for Upmarket Pod, full disclosure. And then you're going to go to Instagram and you're going to follow go_iGUIDE, and you're going to follow Upmarket Pod. You do those 3 things, and you are going to be entered to win that early bird drawing. But wait, there's more. Every person who enters gets $50 off a regular priced PMRE ticket if you buy it. If you miss out on the early bird tickets for PMRE, you're still going to be able to buy a ticket with a $50 discount code courtesy of iGUIDE. And then $50 off. How about free? That's right. iGUIDE is giving away 2 all expenses paid trips to PMRE. Your tickets included, your airfare, your hotel, your transfers, all of that is included in this fantastic giveaways. So get entered into these giveaways. I mean, these are some absolutely fantastic, unbelievable giveaways. I don't even know what's wrong with you if you're not entering this thing. All you have to do is, follow a couple more people on Instagram and put in your email address. My God. So go to goiguide.com/PMRE to enter these giveaways. And so with PMRE coming up November 13th through 15th at the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas, I am happy to have Devon Pastorius here, who has been so integral in kind of shaping the media around PMRE and some of the conference, and kind of made a big splash when the move to the Palms was announced last year. And so, Devon, thank you for being here. And I want to ask you, first off, what are we expecting for PMRE? I know you've been kind of in the weeds with Brandon a bit, and I think you have a lot more inside information. What can you kind of tease us for this now expanded, optional 3rd day and this big move to the Palms?
Yeah, this year is going to be absolutely incredible. We've had a great 5 years at South Point, and they've been wonderful to us. But it's time to take that next step and go to the next level. The Palms, just the venue itself is incredible. The showroom is mind blowing. You've seen a little bit of it in a few of the videos that we did and that sort of thing, but being there and shooting in that space and seeing what that space is going to bring just to the day-to-day experience within PMRE and being there, it's next level. I've got some surprises up my sleeve that nobody's going to be expecting, which is wonderful for just the space, the view, the je ne sais quoi of the out of the room. And not only that, but we've got the third day where we're focusing a little bit more and looking more beyond just real estate, and we're looking at the commercial side. We're looking at that corporate side. We're looking at the design and architecture side, and just the lineup of people that we have there is insane. Like, if it kind of feels a little bit like this was personalized to what I wanted.
Well, that's thank goodness.
Which is really the most important thing out of anything.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, just having Chris Stacy alone is wild to me. If people out there haven't seen Tim Smith and Chris Stacy's work together, Tim Smith being an agent out in California, it's mind blowing stuff. It's some of the inspiration for work that I've done. It's crazy.
And we've already had quite a few of those speakers on our show here, and it's been a great ride so far. And we're going to be interviewing so many more of the speakers for PMRE this year. And our next episode, which is going to be on May 28th, when early birds go on sale, Brandon Cooper will be on the show, and I believe that's when the full slate of speakers will be announced. And we're going to kind of go through and highlight a bunch of things and learn a lot more about it. But the kind of what I'm excited about everyone being on stage too. But I do go back to like just even talking about the venue, and like in fact, I love South Point, and I always thought that like even the production value that the conference could get in that showroom at South Point was so much above what you would expect a real estate photography conference to be all about. Because, what would you picture in your mind if you had never been to PMRE? Oh, it's going to be a sad hotel ballroom with like a sad little stage and a little TV on it. And that's just, it was not the case at even at South Point. And I was always just impressed, with the production value there. And then to hear that the Palms is actually way better. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like.
Chaos is the room that is called. We're calling it the showroom because we don't want to invoke too much of that. But it was built to be a nightclub. It was built to be the quintessential Las Vegas experience, with all of the investment and all of the money that has been poured into the Palms. And so it's going to bring that experience there. It's basically the screens, the lights, the show, the mood of the room. It's a full 360 sensory experience. There are lasers, there are lights, it's a whole bowl of screens above where the speakers are going to be, all above you, all around inside the room. South Point's room was incredible. It was amazing. It felt like you were stepping into a totally different world. This is the Las Vegas experience with PMRE is the best way to put it. When we went down there and when I walked into that room and we had the PMRE logo up on the screens and they were going around, it was just I can't describe it. It's one of those things where it's like, you're just going to have to find out for yourself.
Well, And here's my guess though, right? I think there's going to be all this incredible technology and, you're going to get to play with it and have some fun. But I know how, kind of thoughtful Brandon is in putting this together and how thoughtful you are about the aesthetics of everything, that I'm hoping that all that is not going to overwhelm the real meat of what it's about, which is getting this information, networking with our peers. But I think we're going to be able to do it in like a really sophisticated, modern, fun way. I'm like, I want some lasers going, but I also want to learn about the stuff I'm there to learn about, right?
So it's all there to support that, right?
Yeah.
It's all there to elevate that experience and bring it even more. Because one of the things that I've found in the past and thinking about the production side of things, stuff like that, is that carry through of energy from one speaker to the next, right? Because a lot of times the way that'll go, speaker will be up there, everybody will be like, yeah, that was great, that's awesome. And then kind of a pause and then kind of some commercials. and then the host comes out, and then it's almost like it's like the mood has been brought down a little bit, and the next speaker has to go on stage and bring it back up, and everybody is doing that kind of breathing thing, and it's that gets tiring after a while. If you can keep the energy up, if you can keep everything moving along and flowing throughout the day, it's going to feel like a whole new experience. Everything's going to be fresh, everything's going to be awesome, everything's going to be rocking along. That's where my focus is on the day, is bringing the room to match everything else that's going along with it, right? Because all the content, all the speakers, everything that's going on is up here. How can we bring the rest of that experience up to match it and really make a killer, undeniable experience, an undeniable value for what you're getting when you're there, and have a good time?
Yeah, well, and I think, one of the things, and I haven't, and it just kind of now as I was listening to you talk about it and kind of thinking about my relationship to the conference and how it feels to actually be at the conference, and I felt this way at South Point, and I'm really kind of curious to see how it's going to feel at Palms, but like I kind of alluded to earlier, PMRE is so much cooler and higher production value than you would ever think you would be. And I know when I tell clients, oh, I'm going to a real estate photography conference, you can just see they're like, oh, okay, yeah, wow, that's going to be amazing. And I think for people in our industry, when we go to this event, I find it really validating, right? It's like there is this whole thing that there's all this thought. This is like a really cool thing, an industry with a lot of really interesting people who are forward thinking and can put on a show. And you know what? I think not only are we elevating the brand of PMRE, but I think everyone who goes, it elevates your self-worth. It elevates your brand, because you're walking out of there feeling like, man, hey, we can play with the big boys. We belong here. This is, like the boost in self-confidence you can get just from going to this conference is immeasurable, really.
And at the same time, we want to be matching the quality of the attendees that are coming, right? The entire point of PMRE is to bring people together who, whether they are just starting out and they want to be at the top of the game, there are people in that room that are just incredible, whether they're speakers, whether they're attendees, right? There's people that are bringing in businesses that dwarf what I think I have as a pretty all right business going on. So to have all those people in the room, we need to match that as well, right? We need to bring it together. And again, we're trying to sell to digital creators. We're trying to sell to people who are care about aesthetics, care about production, care about that high quality value. So how can we say, hey, we know all about aesthetics, we know about production, we know about this, unless we do it, you know what I mean? Right. And bring that event and bring that value, and also just be a great time, right? Because I mean, half the fun of PMRE is the time that you have there. The other half is the learning and the growth.
Sure. Well, I okay, man, I'm freaking pumped. I want to be there right now. But let's go back to, because I think there was such a great moment at PMRE last year, at the very end, when that video that announced the PMRE version 2.0 or whatever PMRE plus, whatever we're calling it. And I think that video created a lot of buzz, and you were Windsor Creative, your company, was kind of responsible for that video. And that video is still viewable on the PMRE conference website. Can you kind of walk us through the thinking for that video and kind of even how you produce it? Because some of the visuals in there, the aerial stuff of the palms at night, I mean, was incredible. Can you, what fun stories do you have from making that video?
So in discussion with Brandon about making the announcement and saying, okay, we're going to be changing where we're going, and we want to make this a big deal. What we wanted to do was, one, make it bombastic, make it huge, get people like reach through the screen grab and say, get here next year, you're going to love it. The other thing that we wanted to do with it is we wanted to kind of tease people. We wanted to almost make it sound like PMRE is might be winding down. There might be, what I mean? We had noticed, right? We had done 5 years at South Point. We've had, every name in the industry has walked across the stage or been an attendee. We had heard people, a little bit of like, is it just going to be the same thing every year? Is it like, where do we go next? And so how do we play off that vibe of maybe there is nowhere to go next and go, nope, gotcha. And that. So that's why we had that really somber undertone. We wanted to talk about the connections. We want to talk about that. So that was kind of part one. Part two was I needed to get down there and fly under the radar, and we needed to shoot that entire space in about 24 hours at most. The Palms were incredible in getting us access to the entire venue. That 55-foot wall of LED lights, and we got to put the PMRE logo up on it, literally illuminating the strip from back where.
Not a 55-foot wall, a 55-story wall, right?
55 stories. 55 stories.
It's a little different. I know Canada, you have different measurements, but I thought let's
55 story.
Hey, this is Reed here with a quick fact check on these two yokels. The screen is neither 55 stories high nor 55 feet high. It is actually 272 feet high and 79 feet wide. Either way you look at it, it's immense. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Being able to have that and flying the drone around there, which big thanks to Fraser, being able
Fraser Almeida.
Being out there to supervise me as I capture some of those visuals. So I brought myself down, brought our cinematographer down. I was only in Las Vegas for 46 hours and had to say nothing to nobody about anything. Just get there, get those shots. We had 15 minutes on that wall to have the PMRE logo on there and get all of that drone footage without smashing it into the side of a building. It was a ton of fun. And then being able to just be up at the Ghost Bar, which is up at the top there. So that if you watch the video, Brandon kind of talks and says, the future of PMRE will be at Palms, and we bomb out. That's a place you can go while you're there and hang out, have a drink, and see the entire strip, the mountains in the background. I don't know if there's a cooler spot in Las Vegas to exist in. And that's going to be part of PMRE this year. So just we wanted to do something that was big. We wanted to do something that got everybody excited, talked about what was going to happen, and also showed off the venue itself. I don't know. It was awesome. It was awful not being able to say anything to anybody for those 2 days at PMRE. Cause I'm like, you guys don't know what's coming yet. And I'm not going to say a word about it. And it was watching that video and being in the room and watching the crowd as we did it. Cause there's that moment where it sounds like we're saying goodbye to PMRE as we know it.
Yeah,
and we
totally.
cut to black and we brought the music down and the oxygen left the room. I heard one person just go, oh no. and then we punch in and we got the lights and we're showing the inside of that room and stuff like that. We got Brandon shot and everybody was going nuts. It was like emotional to watch it be like that. And I felt the roller coaster ride of emotions that we had for everybody in the room was exactly what we wanted. So we got there. It was great.
Okay, so presumably when you were doing that video, you hung out at the Palms for a while and you stayed there. So I got a question, and this one is really, 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 really important to me, and I know important to a lot of other people. How is the food at the Palms?
The food at the Palms is awesome. It's
thank God.
There is a crazy variety from, like, if you want to fall on a budget and have I think there's Panda Express or some other kind of like Chinese takeout thing. There's McDonald's, there's an Earl of Sandwich. So like there's like a little food court thing with your kind of cheaper options. And then if you want to just go and do the whole Las Vegas thing, you can get a $450 Wagyu flight at the Scotch 89 or something like that. They've got a beautiful steakhouse there where you can blow a year's budget on dinner.
Oh, perfect.
And everything in between. There's a Mexican place I didn't eat there. I've heard Brandon rave about it. So when you got him on, ask him about the Mexican place. There's a buffet. Apparently you don't want to be there on Wednesday nights because that's their crab leg night. And it's like a 4-hour line. But I didn't eat at the buffet, but I looked into it and it looks awesome. There's like a noodle joint. There's a barbecue place. There's a dim sum place. There's a million different things in there.
Yeah. So I think, I think that's another way that we're going to be upgraded. I think, as much as we love South Point, I think there was a little after, and especially after a couple of years, you're like, okay, I could have some more food options. So, I'm definitely, excited to try a bunch of these places at Palms. And the nice thing too, about Palms, the location is a bit more convenient. I mean, I feel like when you're at PMRE, you don't really want to leave because so much of it is just like running into people around the venue and hanging out and stuff. But if you do want to leave, you are really close to the Strip, and there's other stuff right around Palms. And so like it is possible actually to be like, hey, let's just leave for 2 hours and go to this other restaurant over at Bellagio or whatever. And it's
exactly,
and so you don't have to have that half an hour Uber ride or whatever to get over
it'll
there.
be like the best way to get down there will be like to take a 5-minute Uber ride to Caesars. And like, it's like, it looks close enough to walk. You don't want to walk, because there's that whole like expressway in between you.
So the whole freeway.
Don't do that.
Exactly.
But like just take it to Caesars and then you're in the dead center of the Strip. What's really cool about Palms too is that it's a smaller venue, right? Like South Point is gigantic and there's 3,000 people that could be there at any time. We're basically going to be taking over half of the hotel at Palms. And so it's a bit of a smaller venue, which means that you're going to be able to run into people more often. There's lots of space. There's a bar in the middle of it that's got a shark, which is kind of
formaldehyde.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. And you can hang out and drink in front of a shark, which is something I hadn't done before. Well, but there's, there was this Silverado at South Point that, that was kind of like the unofficial home base for post PMRE. So there's lots of opportunities. We're still going to have that same experience. But we're going to be able to have a little bit more, I guess is the best way of putting it, with a cozier atmosphere.
Yeah. And I think the other big thing to point out about Palms, because I did, I was in Las Vegas a couple months ago and I popped in for a minute just to check it out. And it's noticeably less smoky. So I think you walk in and you're not going to feel that, and that was one of the drawbacks of South Point. It really had more of a classic Las Vegas feel where it did, in certain areas, it could feel a little bit smoky and I'm not super sensitive to it, but some people are. And I know, I think it's going to be a whole different experience at Palms this year. Yeah,
it's great. It's awesome. I don't know. It's unfortunate that it's not earlier in the year because the pool that they have there, the outdoor space even that they have would be awesome, but
yeah. Well, we'll work on that. All right. So, Devon, let's take, I'm exhausted talking about all this exciting stuff. So let's take a little break. Let's collect ourselves, relax. We're going to do a social media sidebar. We're going to come back for more with Devon. And Devon is not only is he working with, PMRE, but he's going to be on stage speaking this year at PMRE. So we're going to talk a little bit about what he's going to, speak about, in November. And then we're going to end, as always, with some action items. All right. We'll be right back. I've been spending some quality time with my friends at Aereo lately. Actually, I haven't seen any of my friends. I've just seen my friend Aereo because I love going on the Aereo website because and our portal and we're running our business out of, because I'm seeing all the shoots we're doing. I'm just seeing all the money we're making. All that money's coming in, and I love money. Everyone knows I love money, and Aereo helps me make more of it because you know what? We can schedule out of there. We have our order form in there. There's easy upsells. You can make packages. I mean, it is all the stuff that you need to run your real estate media businesses right there in Aereo. It is it's been invaluable for us as we have grown our business and continue to grow our business. And they've been such wonderful partners in growing our business, and as they have for hundreds of other real estate, photography, and media businesses around the world. And so if you go to Aereo.com, you can check it out. And then if you want to sign up and are a new user, use the code Upmarket and you're going to get 15 free bonus listings. Aereo.com, check it out. I was eating spaghetti the other day and I was thinking about floor plans. And I was thinking, could I actually just take some of the pasta out of that spaghetti and form it into a floor plan? I bet I could. And you know how I would do that? I would take a second floor app made floor plan, print that PDF or whatever you get out of it, and print it, and then put it on the table. And then I'm going to arrange my spaghetti, and it could be cooked or uncooked spaghetti. I mean, let's be real here. And you can arrange it to match the floor plan that second floor app puts out for you, and then you're going to have a spaghetti floor plan. I'm not sure that spaghetti floor plans would go over that well with your clients, but as a personal fun project, I highly recommend it. But you know what your clients will love? They will love the accuracy of the second floor plans, and they're going to love the speed of delivery that you can achieve with second floor app. Because you go in, you scan a house in 5 minutes using your phone, and then boom, you will have a floor plan ready to go, ready to deliver your client with or without GLA, with or without, all kinds of other stuff. And you can deliver that instantly. And that is an amazing upcharge that you're going to be able to get. And if you don't want to deliver instantly still, by the next day when you're delivering all the other media, that floor plan is going to be ready to go. You're not going to have to sit around and wait another 12 hours for that floor plan to come in. So secondfloorapp.com/upmarket, you're going to get a free month of service. Check it out. secondfloorapp.com. All right, social media sidebar time. We are Upmarket Pod across all social media. And, you also get in there, follow PMRE conference on social media. Come on, there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, Devon is producing content. Devon, you are producing content for PMRE conference, so we can find that on Instagram. And then where your other stuff, where are we finding you and your company, Windsor Creative?
Yeah, so you can find us just by searching for Windsor Creative on Instagram, Facebook. We have TikTok as well, or at least my social media manager tells me we have TikTok.
Yep.
And whatnot. So you just search Windsor Creative. We're really easy to see because we have the narwhal as our little logo. And then also, if you want to see our real estate specific stuff, because we do real estate, we also do other commercial ventures, is Windsor Real Estate Photography.
All right.
If you look, because we crush SEO with the name of our city with real estate photography.
Right.
And then if you're looking for my personal stuff, which is mainly photos of volcanoes, landscapes, and animals, and some houses from time to time, is at DEVOPAST. And also Devon Pastorius Fine Photography on Facebook. So lots of different places to find what we're getting up to and see us. You can also visit our website, windsorcreative.ca.
Cool. Well, so on your real estate photography side, and you just said, hey, we're crushing it with SEO. I mean, what are you doing for that? I mean, what's working for you? How can any of our listeners also crush it?
So one of the things with SEO is that there's a lot of misconceptions about what works with SEO now. And for those who don't know, SEO is search engine optimization. So being able to show organically rather than paying for those search results showing up number one or number two on Google. The number one thing to have is a good website with good copywriting that actually says what you do. You would be amazed at how many websites, both for our clients, for competitors, for other people that I see, and even websites for like places I'm trying to find things, that don't actually say in written words what it is that they do. A lot of business owners, they have kind of a blind spot. They're like, of course, everybody knows I'm a plumber, or a real estate photographer, or something like that. But if your website doesn't have in text that the Google spiders can crawl over and read that says, I'm a real estate photographer in wherever, there's no way that the robot will find out who you are and what you do. So that's number one, is actually have really good copy and actually say who you are and what you do. And then the other one is to update your website relatively frequently, because one of the things that they look for is what is the most, is it active? Is it a live page? So just add some portfolio quarterly if you want to, right? It needs to be noticed to be able to be refreshed.
Right.
Websites are not dead. A lot of people are like, oh, what do I need a website for if I have an Instagram, stuff like that? People are Googling for those things, right? It's one of the first places that people go to. It's kind of hard to search for a geographic area of real estate photographers or any business on social media unless you already follow them. So people still go to Google and they're still punching that in there. So you want to be on there. It's
yeah. And you know, what's interesting about that is actually, you know, we formed Upmarket Media 3 years ago, but I have kept my old company's website online because it still ranks well in search, and we don't update it at all, but I still get a call, like, I don't know, once a month from that website. So, you know, there is, and I know a ton of people are calling Upmarket Media because of our website. So it's, yeah, I mean, God, man, it's so, yeah, don't get fooled into thinking that you don't want to have a website, because you do. Even our old, you know, we're making money from our old site every year. So.
Yep. And so one of the things too is that we have a lot of out of town agents who list in our area, just kind of the way that where we're at is set up. There's a lot of people from Toronto, which is kind of the closest, like big Canadian city. So a lot of them list out here, and we get a ton of business where I never even talk to the person, because they just go online, they see our book thing. We have a different price tier for out of town agents, and they just log in, book on the spot, and easy peasy. So yeah, just it's huge to be able to have a website and have good, like, again, good copywriting and just saying who you are, repeating your location, repeating what it is that you do, and the things and the search terms that people are going to be looking for. What Google wants to do is it wants to provide the end user the best possible experience, right? So if you're a person who wants to find a real estate photographer, what is going to be the most relevant to you? So if you can provide Google the answers to that, and you're actually that, not doing the keyword stuffing, not doing any of those other goofy games, you're gonna have success with that.
All right. Cool. Well, all right, I think in the last half of the show, we're going to talk actually, I think what we're going to talk about is going to really dovetail into social media. So I think we'll have a lot more kind of actual social media talk and strategy in that last half of the show. So let's wrap up our social media sidebar, and then we'll come back with more from Devon, and we're going to end this thing with a couple action items. I feel like in the last couple of months, I've talked more about iGUIDE than I ever thought even possible. But you know what? The reason for that is because we've been doing, obviously we talk about it on the podcast a bit, but then I'm talking about it to other real estate photographers because, you know, we're lucky enough to get to interact with people, you know, on the phone and over DMs and stuff. And I have so many people saying how happy they are about our partnership with iGUIDE because they are longtime iGUIDE users. I had a conversation with a gentleman a while back that he said, I've been using iGUIDE for 8 years, and everyone at that company is so amazing, so helpful. And then the product, they just keeps getting better and better and better. They have their quick capture camera system, the Planix Pro, which, you know, if you go to goiGUIDE.com/PMRE and enter the contest, you could maybe, for the early bird, you could even win one of these Planix Pro camera systems. And, you know, it's a pay per project thing. So the Planix Pro is going to deliver amazing, wonderful accuracy on a 3D tour, and then you can pay for a project. And, you know, there's also iGUIDE Instant, which you can get. It's a 3D tour and interactive floor plan that is delivered in minutes, and it's all for $7.99. That's pretty amazing. I love the fact that there's no subscription for iGUIDE because some other services make you pay a pretty hefty subscription charge per month, regardless if you do one or you do 30 3D tours. So I love the a la carte system here. Their 3D tours are easy to navigate, and their floor plans are accurate and are deliverable in a variety of file formats. So I encourage you to check it out, to go to goiGUIDE.com/PMRE to enter the amazing giveaways of the Planix Pro camera system and 2 all expense paid trips to PMRE. Thank you, iGUIDE. Man, iGUIDE is great. All right, and let's continue on with Devon Pastorius, who is the owner and creative director of Windsor Creative in Windsor, Canada. And Devon, you also spoke on stage at PMRE 2 years ago, and I don't know. We'll see if I can make it on stage this year. I'm not sure, but you are definitely going to be on stage. So what are you going to talk about this time?
So this time I'm going to be kind of talking about how to identify an audience and how to reach that audience and how to connect with that audience, right? Understanding your audience, why you're creating the content that you're creating, right? Creating with intent, rather than just creating for the cool factor.
Mm-hmm. I like cool. I mean, obviously, as everyone knows, I'm a really, really cool guy. But why do I not want the stuff I'm putting out to be just cool?
So one of the things that I focus on heavily, especially with our commercial and corporate clients, is the fact that we're trying to reach a specific audience to encourage specific behavior, right? All advertising at its root is to encourage a behavior change, right? Buy a cheeseburger, go to the mall. You know what I mean? Like it's intended to spur an action. So what's interesting about real estate media, and I've been doing a deep dive in this because I feel like the landscape has changed a lot in the last year and a half, 2 years, kind of like the whole post-COVID thing. And we're seeing like a lot of really crazy high quality videos and stuff coming out. But what's interesting, at least from my perspective, is who the audience for those videos tend to be. I'm sure by now we've all seen those real estate videos where like you got the speed ramps and the swirling and you got the Inception thing going on inside houses. And that is being eaten up right now by realtors and video guys, right? That is the hottest trend and rage going on right now. I've been looking at those videos from like how are they succeeding for the realtor, right? Because they're incredibly successful for the real estate cinematographer, right? If you're a guy who shoots those videos right now, you're kicking ass, right? I see it in my market. I see it across markets all across the world right now. You make those videos, realtors are buying them. What's interesting, at least in my market, I've looked at a couple other markets, is that guys who are doing these videos now, the agents who are purchasing them, they're posting those videos on their accounts and their view count isn't changing at all. They're getting a couple hundred, a couple thousand views, which is terrible. But then when you look at the actual engagement, who is responding, who is liking, who is commenting on these videos, it's other photographers, it's other real estate agents, and it's other mortgage agents. And so what that tells me from kind of just looking at that is that reaching the audience that realtor actually wants to talk to, right? Is that customers of that real estate agent? Are they convincing other people to buy their services, to use them and that sort of thing, right? So they're able to say, hey, we got a couple hundred or a couple thousand views. Is that the right audience though? And that's one of the key things that we always focus on as an advertising firm is, who is the audience? What's the message we're trying to send to them? And are we reaching them and, changing that behavior, getting them to buy the thing, do the stuff? So from a real estate photographer's perspective, absolutely 100% you are hitting your target demographic and selling to realtors, and realtors are paying big money for it, right? It's not your typical just with a gimbal fly around kind of thing. It's a much higher quality product. But what I already see, especially in my market and other markets as well, is that people are doing one or two of these videos going, oh yeah, they're great. And then never doing them again because they're not seeing those results. Right. And then there's guys that I'm seeing that are like real estate agents holding up a cell phone being like, bro, this is what you can get for $400,000. And they're getting 100,000 views. Right. You know what I mean? They're reaching a huge demographic of people, and blowing away these highly well-produced, great videos and great content. But is it great if it's not converting at the end of the day? And that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about. And how to understand that audience. And even if you only get 600 views, but it is 600 diehard fans, that's better than reaching 100,000 people who live in Bangladesh. Right. You know what I mean? Like you can get a ton of views if you're not selling eyes, if you're not selling attention, if you're selling something else, that attention doesn't matter necessarily. Sometimes it does, right? And It gets complicated.
Yeah, well, but look, it's quality of your audience, not quantity. And I mean, this podcast is actually a really good example of that. And we don't get into our specific numbers, but like if we were just like a general interest podcast and had the numbers that we have, no advertiser would touch us. I mean, it wouldn't even be in the realm of possibility. But because everyone who listens to our podcast, for the most part, is a real estate photographer, a real estate media provider, we have an incredibly valuable audience for people. And so when you have companies that want to speak to that audience, well, we're a great place to come to reach that audience. And so, you really, and even more micro niche with our Ventura County real estate podcast. I mean, the people who listen to that are, people who are trying to pitch to realtors in Ventura County want that. So it's going to be our local lenders, our local, people, not the big national brands like we have on Upmarket. So, the quality of audience is so key. But when we're talking though to, realtors, can that analogy work? I mean, how are we talking about creating value for the audience that they want to reach?
So one of the key things is, one, identify who that audience is, right? So in real estate terms, that could be a specific neighborhood. That could be a specific kind of region, right? I'm not sure exactly. Everybody's region is going to be different, but around here, we have different neighborhoods and different towns that are all pretty close together. But if you say, hey, Walkerville, right? Walkerville's a pretty well-known area. You can point out like 4 or 5 agents, and most people, it'll be on the tip of their tongue to be like, oh, this agent operates in Walkerville. So if that's the case, you have to talk with your agent, go, where do you want to focus? And I know half the time you're going to hear them say, I want any business. I want anybody, but you can't really target everybody. One of the things that I've been looking at as like trends in real estate marketing, both from like media creator side, but also agents who are doing their own marketing, their own advertising, like that, is it's called neighborhood farming. Right. It's not really a new idea, but you can do it much more effectively now in the digital age, right? So you can make YouTube videos, you can make social media content that talks about a specific neighborhood or even like a specific block. I was talking with one guy the other day. He has 3 streets that he wants to target because he's identified it as a high turnover area. Like every 5 years, houses are selling on there. So he wants to get 50% of those listings. So that's what we can do, right? So you actually have to have a conversation with your agents and say, what is it that you're trying to do? Right? Like what are your business goals? Not just, hey, let's make a sick video of a sick house. That's awesome. And you know what? If you have an agent who's into that, maybe don't try to change that, because then you start thinking. But with new clients, with clients that maybe you don't shoot for right now, that's a conversation you want to have and actually ask them about that. Because then they start to open up to you, tell you about your their wants and needs and stuff like that. And then you go, okay, well, how does your listing media affect this? If your listing media doesn't affect that, then what other media can you create? What other content that you can create that can work towards that goal? So neighborhood videos, like I said, is a great one. Just about the agent videos, right? If all they ever see is like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm listing this house, you're not saying anything. You're not connecting with a certain audience necessarily. That's the idea behind it, right? So finding a specific audience and a specific message and then creating content. You're not trying to create content and cram that some sort of message into it. You're kind of starting from the ground up, which is really, it's advertising 101. But that's something that I find a lot of real estate media creators don't think about, right? They don't talk about that.
I heard you say, if you have an agent who really wants to do those flashy videos, you don't necessarily want to dissuade them from that. And I would agree with that because we have a version of that. We have our cinematic twilight video, which is basically the day to night transition, and it's very played out now. But we don't do very many of them. But when we once or twice a year we do one, it's still for us it still makes us look really technically cool, and it's something. I think there's a lot of value for us to have that on our Instagram. It presents us as an expert, but maybe not as much for the agent. So I do think to have some of those kind of flashier videos in your back pocket is great advertising for yourself, even if you are trying to have those kind of more story videos.
100,000%. And the thing is with that is that's where you're starting to see the difference between your audience, your agent's audience, and then try to find the middle. Because one of the things that I've also found in having conversations with realtors and stuff like that is this weird thing where they're looking more inwards with their videos as to who they're speaking to rather than looking outwards, right? They're not trying to cast a wide net. They're trying to appease their client, number one. And then they're also trying to just kind of look cool, right? They're trying to appease the ego a little bit. They like that sort of thing, right? There's this selling sunset vibe thing that they all want to do. And those are a lot of times kind of the first two audiences that a lot of realtors think about. And so that's an interesting thing, right? It's like you've already made a sale. Now you're advertising back to the person that you've made the sale to. And by make the sale, I mean, get the listing, right? But does that translate into more referrals? Probably. And that's what thing. So there's this weird thing going on right now. And it's a tough thing to navigate. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen? And you kind of said it yourself when you said it's a little played out right now. That happens, right? The trends are always going to change. That's the whole point of trends, is that they change. So if you're if you're always chasing trends, you might not be the first one to that trend. Somebody comes in and now you've been obliterated for a while before you catch up. And again, if you're just chasing trends, that's all you're ever going to do. But if you're actually working on fundamentals of your realtor's business, they're never going anywhere because they don't want to explain that to them again, to anybody else again. And you're doing things that are effective rather than
and if realtors are seeing if they're seeing results from what you're doing, they're going to come back for more. I mean, if there's a moment where they say, oh, basically someone saw this video and now they're my client and I sold them a house, it's like they love you after that. I mean, that's the holy grail right there.
But what's funny about that though is that sometimes you do that content and it doesn't get the big flashy view numbers.
Right.
And so sometimes they start to go, well, why don't I have more views? And it's a negotiation, right? Because we've all been trained. More views are good, right? Get 100,000 views. I've gone viral. This is impressive. This means something. But when you actually dig down into it, doesn't mean anything, right? Is there value to 100,000 views if they're not from your target audience?
And I think, what you would want to do from a business perspective is when you're having those early conversations is to set appropriate expectations and to probably always use the term quality views, where it's not. So that way, when they do only get 46 views, that way you at least cover your ass. And so, so I think it's just very, setting expectations is so important in everything in our lives. So, and my expectation for this podcast is that we're going to end with action items, which means it is time for our action items. And today, as always, our action items are sponsored by Pixel CRM. Unlock the full potential of your real estate media business with Pixel CRM, the all-in-one CRM and marketing platform built by a real estate media professional for real estate media professionals. Pixel CRM is designed to help you attract and retain clients through marketing systems and automation. If you go to pixelcrm.com/upmarket, you can get a 30-day risk-free trial. And that's Pixel CRM, pixelcrm.com/upmarket. Hey man, we love Pixel CRM. We've been using it and we've been growing our business and making it more efficient. So I highly recommend that you go check out Pixel CRM. Devon, I'm gonna go first today. And mine's well, as it should be. It's very simple, but I've been like every day I've been trying to set a goal. Or not a goal. It's like a kind of a goal / to-do list. So I have probably a longer to-do list, but then on that, I set a goal every morning of I want to do these 2 things. And that is my goal. And I try to send myself a Slack message about it and try to mark it off by the end of the day. But I at least in the beginning of every morning, think about these 2 goals that I want to do and what I can accomplish. And so it's really just taking that giant to-do list and just really, having just 1 or 2 things on there that then you can focus on that day. And then if you actually do that, you're going to feel accomplished. So it's just taking a moment to think about your day and think about with you 1 or 2 tasks that you've been either putting off or just that are still on the list that you just want to take care of.
Well, what's the quote? Like the path of 1,000 steps starts with 1 or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. But yeah. Okay. So Devon, come on, follow that gem up with one of your own here.
So I'd say that my one action item that I would say that you could do weekly at this point is call up one of your clients and either invite them out to lunch or just have a conversation on the phone and just ask them about what they want to do with their business, what their goals are, and how they want to reach an audience. And the amount of insight that you can get from those phone calls, the amount of opportunity to create worthwhile content for them outside of their listing material will blow your mind. Because a lot of times people have an idea about what they want to do, but they don't share it with you because they're busy and they're like, hey, I'm not going to wake up and ask how I can get my photographer to spend my money for me. But if you have that conversation, say, well, this is how I can help. Maybe this is how we do it. This is what we do. Just by that one phone call, just by like connecting and having a conversation like a human being with your clients, there's a lot of opportunity there for you to pick up and run with and create something that's going to bring value to them and also bring value to yourself.
Beautiful, man. I love it. I think I try to do that sometimes. It doesn't always work. I have been better about taking clients out to lunch and stuff like that, which has been an action item in the past. So, it's always good to have some FaceTime with your clients, or even just phone time where you can just talk. So, Devon, thank you so much. Thanks for all the stuff you've done. I mean, for PMRE and man, it's just going to be awesome. And I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you. Although you're going to be running around like crazy working in Las Vegas, but maybe we'll have a moment to hang out.
I'll find time for you, I promise.
All right. Well, we'll see you in a few months. Thanks again, and go to PMREconference.com. Early birds are going on sale May 30th. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Upmarket is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope you listen to the next one too. In the meantime, our wish for you is to not have to shoot any Friday night Twilight shoots. Thank you for everything.